Hello, welcome to actual play, Nara and the Burning Wheel.
Ooh.
This is our third campaign of Burning Wheel. The game that started as a hey, no one showed up to play Blades for a few sessions in a row, and it's just Judd and I. Why don't we do this little spin-off one-on-one game that
Yeah.
turned into Bina, the Shoeless Peasant, and Polara the Pillar, and now Nara and the Burning Wheel.
Yeah.
Nara being Bina's daughter. So I'll be playing the young Arch-Mage to be, or the young maybe Arch-Mage to be. Who knows? I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me everywhere at Sean Nittner. As I said, I'm playing Nara, and I'm very excited about playing this new character and starting this new campaign, advancing our story. Something like 15 years from Polara. It's a ways.
Yeah.
It's some time. Bulat is dead, and anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going on in Wheel Hold. As always, donations here are split between Translate Legal Defense Fund and Black Lives Matter. So send us monies if you want them to go there, or just send them directly. That's cool too. We feel good when you send it to us because we're like, yay, we got it, but it just gets sent there. So it's 6 of 1 half after those. Yeah. How about you, Dad?
Hey, my name is Judd, he, him, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get to Nara's story. I feel like we've kind of uncovered that she was a wizard together through play, and then I'm just really curious to see who Bina's daughter grew up to be and who I don't know how she's going to deal with all this stuff. So it's interesting. I really got to kind of write a bunch of notes about wizards and how they work and
Yeah,
how the Arch-Mage is chosen and all that kind of fun, and
that's exciting.
the history of Arch-Magery. It's just like I think like a 3 or 4 page Google Doc at this point. But I just definitely felt like I kind of needed to just write things down. We've only really had one wizard in game.
Yeah.
And that's
He's not
Rasmus. Yeah.
Rasmus, and he hasn't really done any wizardry either.
No, I don't think we've had a spell cast on screen, which is cool because we get to decide that for what's best for Nara, like how it looks and how it works. Like what is interesting to Nara and interesting to us, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're using art magic out of the codex. So if you see us flipping through a new book to read rules,
Yep.
that is the shit hot content that we bring to streaming that we feel like is cutting bleeding edge. That I feel like no one is, other people cut out rules flipping for your entertainment, and we're just not here to coddle you like that. We want you to get the authentic experience.
Yeah, you've advanced to getting both books. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and just like my forehead in camera as my brow furrows looking for a rule, and Sean's trying to fill time. It's a real thing, and I think this is what you've signed up for, and I appreciate it. Thank you for
thanks.
coming.
Yeah, and thanks for being here, everyone, Andy and Ken and Merrick. I'm excited. I'm excited that you're here. You're here for this rule flipping game, page flipping game.
But that said, I really like the kind of weird world we've built over the course of the last 18 sessions, and we're not going for like 9 sessions each mini campaign, and I think if any of them are going to break that, it'll be Nara, because I think she's going to be on a very different trajectory. Her situation with a capital S being like the thing that kicks off the campaign is a little less dire, I think, maybe than the other ones.
Yeah.
And so we're going to kind of get to let her explore a bit and see where she wants to head, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that'll be.
Yeah, me too. I feel like Nara, the other two characters had a real situation in front of them that was very dire and very imminent, and we kind of knew we were playing towards that. And Bina, that's what we did. we just 9 sessions of just playing Bina trying to stop the war and finally doing it after failing like a bunch of times. And then Polara, it was like by second session we had zoomed way off course, but we hadn't reduced any of the urgency. It was still like the stakes have only kind of gone up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could imagine Nara being like the very, because she kind of is the most of an adventurer kind of character that I've made of the three.
Right.
She is a young, I mean, Bina wasn't that much older, but Nara, but Bina wasn't an adventurer by any stretch. She wanted to be home with serving our Lord and
Yeah.
having, like working. She didn't have any big aspirations. And Nara has huge aspirations. She's been told that she's gonna be the Arch-Mage. She thinks that she has to like take the wheel down from the burning wheel. And the guy Bezor, the wizard who has trained her, is this rogue wizard outcast who lives on the edge of society and has sort of taught her to be very suspicious of people and very suspicious of and very cautious about knowing how people feel about magic and not assuming that they're going to be down with it or feel good about it. So yeah, she's a lot. I mean, I definitely don't ever want to play a character who's like a thoughtless murder hobo. That does not interest me at all. But Nara is definitely the most like scoundrelly of these characters, I think, or at least that's her. She's less trusting, I think, than either Bina or Polara or so.
Cool. Cool.
So,
do we want to read her beliefs and kind of dig in?
Yeah. So I just wrote 2 instincts because I realized she didn't have them. But we're starting with two beliefs and 2 instincts, which I kind of like because especially with this, we don't exactly know who Nara is, like what Nara is up to yet. So let me pull up the character sheet.
And I think that's a good burning wheel tip for folks just starting, is that you don't necessarily have to have all the beliefs and instincts written out right away. I find what will happen after the first game is if you keep an eye out for what the player is doing, you can see their instincts. You can see like, oh, I've noticed that whenever whenever that character sees a bully, they react. So how about, when I always, defend the downtrodden from bullies, that's a good instinct. And just so you can kind of play a session without it, see that that's an instinct, write it in, and then it becomes a thing. And because instincts can be in a way trickier than beliefs, because it's things that your character does without thinking. And there are a couple of different things they can serve. So it depends on what kind of instincts you want to write. Sorry, Sean.
No. You were making a good point. And I find that as well. I can often write beliefs where I know like I believe X, so I will do Y, and instincts are more, sometimes you kind of write them for the mechanical advantage. Sometimes you write them as a character quirk. Sometimes you write them to remind you what the character's like. And that's what I just did right now. I was like, my beliefs don't really actually don't show how I feel like Nara is like a hardened character. So I'm going to put that in her instincts in terms of how I reflect that I think that she's a hardened character. And maybe she isn't so hardened. Maybe at the ripe age of 23, she isn't actually all that tough. But we'll see. See if I keep the instincts. Cool. So notably, Nara was village born in Karakagi, then was a supplicant under the ranger, the Fell Nightingale, Egdolin, then was an apt pupil under the knight Tovar, and is now, and most recently, was a rogue wizard. So she's a 4 life path character who's had 4 different settings. She's traveled around a lot. She's moved around a lot. And you want to tag team reading beliefs?
Yeah. Her belief 1 is, I'm supposed to carry the wheel down the mountain, but nobody will tell me why. I'm going to find out what happened, but nobody will tell me why. I'm going to find out what happened the last time an Arch-Mage did it.
And belief 2 is, to take the wheel, I must master the school of fire. Great, more mentors. Well, fighting this prophecy has never worked out. I better get to it. I'll find a practitioner to teach me. So right off the bat, I'm looking for another mentor, which I'm sure will be good.
Love it.
And then you want to read first instinct?
When entering a room, always look for a way out. Man, that's how she's lived her life, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's I wouldn't say she's had a rough life, but she's definitely had an uncertain and a scary life.
Yeah.
Um, and the second one is, if I hear the word magic, shut up and see what others think first.
Interesting.
She's I think she's definitely had lots of different experiences with people thinking magic is great, thinking magic doesn't exist, thinking magic is evil. Um, you know, in the South and Elflands, it was like all of these stories of singing to the stars and their beauty and what they would create and the magic and the fabric of being. And up here in human lands, that is not, I think, been her experience.
Yeah.
So, so she's and her name is the title I've given her is Nara Songender, and there's a kind of a joke in that about Dina, but it's one of the things I got was I was able to take a trait. I'll pull it up. Took a lot of amazing traits with Nara. She's kind of the most broken of my characters in that regard. I took the trait Fey Blood, and the which felt very appropriate with her having this prophecy, whatnot. And Fey Blood allows you to take one life path trait. And to be fair, there are really, really powerful life path traits. And I did not take any of the really powerful ones. I took Firstborn. The elves are made of the very fabric of nature, wind, air, wood, and water. Thus, they know the secrets very well. And the very thing I cared about it was elves have, it's the intimate knowledge that allows elves to weave their songs. So Nara has singing, which Bina did not. And theoretically, she could learn spell songs. She doesn't know any. She can't do them right now, but
that's a big deal.
Ability to,
yeah,
which I think is cool, especially cool, considering Bina's whole story around singing and it not working out for her. So, but she one time tried to sing along with an elf and it didn't go well because she didn't know what she was doing. Made a mistake. She wasn't shunned for it. It wasn't a horrible thing, but she took the title Songender. Cool. Because they just stopped singing. They're like, no, we're not. It was too dangerous, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool. Anything you want to go over before we jump in?
No, I don't think so. I think your only relationship is with this rogue wizard mentor, Bazor. Yeah.
Yeah, Bazor. Yeah.
Okay. And are they way older than you? Or are they just a little older than you?
Oh, that's a great question. I envisioned, kind of crotchety old guy, but
love it. Yep.
Is that good? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
Cool.
I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say like 60s, 70s, something in there.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Oh, how much Artha do you want me to start with? I think we decided that I got Bina's deed, but I don't.
Yeah. Totally take Bina's deed, and then let's do 1 and 1. Let's do 1 persona, one fate.
Oh, all right. I got one of all.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And let's get that map up and figure out where we're going. I think you probably haven't.
Lord Neptune, thanks for joining us with the raid. Woohoo! We have our first raid. Yeah, welcome everybody. And hi Morgan. Sorry, Judd.
No. I'm saying let's get the map up for folks to see, and let's figure out kind of where we can see Wheelholt as the middle dwarven holdfast. That is, a mountain where the dwarves live that actually has the burning wheel on top of it because subtlety is for suckers. And are you like at the end of your journey to Wheelholt? Like, is that kind of where you're at?
It's a good question. Should we like open it up as she's sort of entering and passing through dwarven lands, or do we want to see a little bit of what I kind of want to see, if you have it in mind? I kind of want to see what the Jewel Road Inn looks like 20 years later.
Yeah, yeah.
And if that's a cool place to start, I think past Karakagi, because I'm not sure I want to play that part out.
Right. Yeah.
But I think she's kind of traveled all around, and she was down in the south, down the with the elves,
Yeah.
and then no,
And
sorry, the wizards are down in the south. I apologize. The elves are off to the west, right?
yep. But I think that some of them are to the south too. And I think
Yeah.
I think Bezor is in that big forest, the Adolome Malos.
Nice.
And so he's in there at this kind of old necropolis where of like people whose names have been lost to time and history. And that's the main kind of thrust of his study, is like who they are and talking to them and dealing with their dead. But yeah, I think you kind of you went around to the west and went around Karakage because maybe Bezor wanted to see something.
Yeah.
And yeah, love it. You're at the Jeweled Road Inn. Sounds good.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think your second sight kind of itches. Why don't you make a perception roll as you walk in, and we'll see how it goes.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm excited to do that. So I'm gonna throw that up real quick because I know we love reading, but I bet everyone on stream loves reading too. I'm gonna read Second Sight. This is one of Nara's. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but the second sight characters can peer into the shifting shadows of the spirit world. It's powerful, multifaceted ability through the acts of concentration. You can push his thought to through the veil to see the reality on the other side. This costs one action to fight, but can always be done at will. The second sight grants the ability to discern if something is magical or not. It also grants the ability to use perception, which is what Judd's calling for, in order to detect things that are hidden. So I can basically use perception in place of observation, which is super cool. I don't get the double off penalty. And it allows me to use the aura reading skill, if I have it, to aid in sorcery or summoning, which I do. So yeah, let's make that perception roll.
Well, what is aura reading? I don't know if I've ever. And do you have it?
I do. Yeah. Aura reading is super cool. So perception allows me to notice things and know the magical, but aura, how there's all of the like aura of fear, aura of menace, right?
Yeah,
so aura
yeah.
allows me to read that, but also we're starting this game off right.
Yeah, let's go right to the book.
Yeah, aura reading page. If I can find.
Yep, it's page 258.
Here we go. This is the talent to read an aura and see within the present, future, and past. Or readers can decipher gossamer veils of emotion, deception, clarity, and purpose. The skill does not grant the ability to see auras, but Second Sight does. That must be acquired through a trait, prayer, or spell. So yeah, I can. There's all sorts of fun things you can do. Like you can see somebody's traits. You can see someone's intent with aura reading. It's
interesting.
It's cool. So I might be doing as I try to suss people out.
Yeah.
But let's make that perception roll.
Yep. And you can make it an aura reading roll if you'd like. Like you can say like, my second sight kind of itched, and so I just looked around the room a little bit. Like if you'd like to do that, it is up to you.
I think not. I think I like perception as like I notice something is awry, and then depending on what it is, I might kind of spend some time. Because I feel like when you kind of use second sight, especially when you use like aura reading, it actually literally does distract you from the rest of the world. You have like an odd penalty, I think, for like physical action for a moment.
Got it.
Let me double check.
Yeah, no big deal. Just make the perception roll. Let's just get this party started.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. All right, what's my ob?
I think it's like 1, and then like you'll get more. Oh, it's 2, and you'll get more information as you go up.
Excellent. Okay, I just hit it.
Cool. Two. So
Yeah.
I think what you get is that is is real basic. I think you know that you and Bazor are not the only wizards here. Like there are other
Mm.
gifted folk in the inn, and the inn is for the first time. I think you've noticed that as you've gotten to the Jeweled Road, uh, that it's bustling quite a bit, and there are a lot of folks, and a lot of pilgrims, heading north to Wheelholt, and it. I don't think you've had a chance to talk to them yet. I think
Yeah.
Bazor kind of stays clear, but walking into the Jewel Road Inn is definitely your first like, oh wait a minute, something's up. Like and yeah, like you're in this kind of small space. It's kind of loud. It's full of people. I think you and Bazor like just managed to get a seat, and
Mm-hmm.
let's get a look at Nara. Tell us about Nara. What does she look like? What would someone notice about her right away?
Nara wears a this sort of sturdy gray cloak
Hmm.
that is seems very unassuming until you look at like the very fine details.
Yeah.
She has sort of a shortcut bob of a haircut, which makes her at her age seem a bit androgynous. Like it certainly could be like a boy's cut. Like it could sort of
Yeah.
be read either way.
Yep.
She's got um, she's leaner than her mom because she's like been on the road the whole time, and the elves have very uh live sort of diets, and that's
Yeah.
and she starts to sort of been a little hungry, so she's got kind of a gaunt, kind of a hungry look to her.
Yeah.
um
Probably. I mean, it could also be she's built a little bit more like her dad, who was, I think, a little rangier. Yeah.
yeah, I think she's got a lot of deek in her. And yeah, black uh uh straight hair. That's what sort of fits the bob. And yeah, often wears kind of a pensive look as she's sort of sussing people out. She's not exactly the person you'd immediately go, she'll be a fun person to hang out with.
Yeah.
Not that she isn't, but just
Yeah.
not her first impression. That
Love it.
that you give. So, um, and I think that she like uh, I I think that she doesn't know any sleight of hand or anything like that, but I think that she sort of prides herself in having her whatever accoutrement needed, so she can sort of like reveal whatever she needs if she has it. Obviously, at her cloak, it's like sort of in pockets and things like that
Yeah.
she has assorted, so she can, so she can sort of slide her hand out of the cloak and have a few coins to pay the tab, or that something very mundane like that.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, I think she's yeah. You said we've just sort of squeezed in and gotten the table, and she
Yeah.
looks and says, she looks at Bezor to kind of see like if he's reading the same thing. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know if
So
he
yeah.
picks
So
up on it.
Bazor is setting up his like. I think a lot of people are noticing Bazor because I don't think like he he looks all the world like a wizard, right? I think
Yeah.
he's got like the cool, like straight up, Gandalf hat, in like a a brown or a green so dark that it's kind of brownish or kind of blackish, uh, and he's got a really raggedy cloak, and he's like taking off his backpack, and on his backpack is like a loop of metal that kind of goes up over his head, like in a Kurosawa movie that might hold like a flag or something, like a
Mm-hmm.
runner. But on his loop of metal is his familiar. That's a flying fox, one of those big bats. Like they're like a foot and a half long. They're huge and they're adorable. And I think like his bag kind of like stands up and like on its own, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
like you can kind of like
You can
put
set it
it
down
down.
and it stands up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got like a little wooden frame on the bottom of it, so you can kind of put it down and
Love
like
it.
and um the bat Fennec kind of like ruffles a little bit, like she's getting a little moved around, and
Oh, I can imagine that kind of like splaying the wings out to regain balance,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of
and
like
I think people like, you know, people ooh and ah at that, and yeah. The other thing I think you notice right away is that this place clearly got hit during the Spider Wars.
mm,
Um, there, yeah, there are signs that like this place had to be cleared away of webs that I think you would have that you notice.
yeah,
I don't think they hit Karakage. I don't think they got that far down south, but they clearly like got here and yeah, there's a little like plaque to the original owners, I think somewhere,
nice.
that says like, yeah, these are the people who originally owned this place. They perished because of the handmaidens, hungry minions. Never forget, that type of thing. It's very kind of, I don't know. If I was writing it, I would use a very like American 9/11 memorial type of a vibe to it.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, and I think Bazor kind of like leans, and I think Bazor is an older guy. I think he's an older black man with like white stubble showing, and he kind of leans across and says, "I'm assuming that this is on me." Hmm?
Um, yeah, you can look at Nara's B0 resources stat, and she sort of like reaches into her pockets, like digs her fingers down real deep,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
show that there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "If you'd be so kind, I mean,
You
we could
gotta,
find lodging other ways, but they probably wouldn't. We probably wouldn't be welcome back."
you've gotta make some connections in the world, young lady, if you want to be of it. And yeah, I think he like puts down a coin for, he orders the stew and says, "What kind of rooms have you got?" And they say like, "We are booked. You can get a stable." And she kind of looks at Fennec, and who kind of is like sniffing at her, and she kind of puts her hands out, and he like takes her hand, and Fennec smells her, uh, and she says, may I pet your creature?" He says, "He's a flying fox. Yeah, he's nice, or she's nice. Fennec, you want to be pet?" And Fennec like shakes her head, and she has this like big ruff of fur on the bottom of her, and the uh,
Server.
the innkeeper pets her and says, "We've got enough stew for everybody. We're well stocked, but if you want to stay out of the rain, you can take a stable, and you're going to be sharing it with people. There's just a lot of folks. We just had some folks in from Duke and Shield. Uh, they've got a stable. They're heading north. You can share with them if you'd like."
And Nara assumes that Bezor will, will be the one to make the deal because he's already
Yeah,
started it. But she nods, agreeably that she doesn't have any, like staying in a stable is no problem. But she does sort of like look around and she's like, "What's all the commotion? What brought everyone here?" And she's definitely scanning the room. She's scanning the room to figure out
yeah,
how to get out of here if anything goes
right,
wrong, because that's
yeah,
my instinct. But
yeah,
she's also trying to figure out what else she detects in here that
yeah. I
that
think
stands out.
the we should name her at this point. She's said like more words than anybody else in the campaign. Uh, yeah, Nina uh, says some kind of kerfluffle up at Wheelholt, something with the wheel. Not sure. A lot of strange folk like you about.
Um, yeah, Yeah, a lot of strange folk indeed.
We got dark beer and cider. What's your preference?
And I imagine that I feel like this is one of those we should be in sync and we're not moments where he says beer and I say cider right at the same time.
Totally,
you
totally.
know?
Yeah. She says, one beer, one cider. I'll be back in a little bit with your stew.
Yeah, I sort of nod appreciatively.
Yeah, and I think like the stew is called like karakage stew, and it's like a certain type of goat stew that you probably know of.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it smells like your childhood a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like this is culturally probably a lot like yours. So I have a question: are you Bazor's apprentice? Are you kind of his colleague? Are
Oh, I
you
think I'm his
learning?
apprentice.
You're his
Yeah.
apprentice. Okay.
Yeah. Beer on cider makes you feel right, or cider on beer makes you feel queer. Thanks, Luke.
Good to know. Yeah, I was not gonna. We were not gonna mix them, but
Yeah.
thank you, Luke.
Yeah, no, I think I'm his apprentice for
Cool.
sure.
Cool.
I think that there is an expectation um, that he is sort of helping me until I can find another person to study under, and he's helping me because he knows the story, and
Yeah.
I'm doing the work that apprentices do. Right, I'm doing work that my young bones can do, that his old ones don't want to put up with. So I
Yeah.
think I do a lot of manual
Yeah.
labor and a lot of carrying
Yeah.
stuff around and tending to him. And I actually, so that's a good point, because Nara's like, yeah, sure, I'll sleep in the stables, but is he sort of the kind of guy that's can rough it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you've been roughing it with him for the probably a better part of a month now.
Yeah.
On your way up. So yeah, I mean, he can. I think you live in like a leaky necropolis building that is that was looted by some heartless adventurers years ago, and he cleansed the spirits and put them to rest, and then and Bazor made it his home. So your bed is probably literally like was a sarcophagus once. It's that kind of like goth thing.
I love it. That sounds great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is positively palatial in comparison. I think I'm going to sit back and sort of like do that thing where I'm sipping my. I've got this big mug in my and I'm like sort of like looking over it and sipping my cider, and I think looking at aura reading, and aura reading is ob 1 to determine if an object is magical or mundane, and it's ob 2 to read a school of magic. I'm feeling like it's something in there to try and figure out who here is practicing, if they're doing anything that is that could be detected, because I want to see where what got my attention when we first came in.
Cool. Cool. Do you want to make a roll and just kind of like, are you kind of trying to like narrow things down and figure out?
I'm trying to narrow it down. I'm trying to figure out who, because I think I know. Tell me if this is true. I think I know that there are other would-be Arch-Mages, right? That there's a bunch of people traveling to Whalehold, and
could be
something. Okay, maybe Nara doesn't.
So make the roll, and something really obvious is about to happen that will shed some light on this. But yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What do you want to call this?
Tell me again what your intent is.
I want to see who here is gifted.
Awesome. So it's ob 2 to just like look at one person. So I'm gonna say like looking across the room is ob 3.
Yeah, sounds good. I'd like to. I'd like to fork in sorcery
Yeah.
and the I have animal husbandry. I forgot about that. Yes, and I also have fire building. I have those useful on the road skills too, but I can take care of Fennec. I like to fork in sorcery because I think that there is like various just artifacts and tchotchkes and physical objects and physical mannerisms that stand out, at least as
Yeah.
my understanding of it, right?
Okay.
That there's some weird oddities that sorcerers that carry that
Yeah.
will pin it down.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's try this. So one fork, no Artha, ob 3. I do not. No. That's a failure. Although I got a 6, but I only have 1 success. So no,
Okay.
I'm just gonna take that.
Okay. Cool. I should have said like
Yeah, sorry.
what is the I think I think the failure thing is that someone notices you.
I think that totally makes sense.
Yeah. So um there's a man sitting across the room, Strider style.
Yeah.
He's about Bezor's age. And you know, the audience knows that he's Rasmus, the Iron Druid, who's the only wizard we've seen in game.
Yeah.
But like,
who Nara knows. Nara's met
yeah,
Rasmus, but it was
okay,
like 20 years. It was like
right,
almost 20 years ago, right?
yeah, yeah.
She
And
was the
I
one who
think
picked like 3 of the Arch-Mage's tokens out of Rasmus's hat.
right, um, and I think yeah, Rasmus, like you can see this man kind of looking at you, and you're like, and you feel some pull of I know them. Like they look familiar, but I don't know
Yeah.
where. I can't pin where from. And like he's about you think you're getting the feeling that he's gearing up to come and see you. And uh someone else is talking to the innkeeper, and you hear someone like raise their voice, and they're like, "What do you mean you don't have a room for him? He's the Arch-Mage." And she's like, "I don't, darling, I don't even know what that means. Like I know that's a fancy wizard thing, but here a room is a room. I don't care if you're a lord, I don't care if you're a duke, I don't care if you're the wheel blessed king. Uh you're not getting a room today. Not without a miracle." And
I think Nara has like 2 reactions. I'm imagining maybe when Nara is reading that, when Nara is aura reading, especially if she's focusing on it, that like the way the firelight glints off her eyes is the camera gets a clue. I think that they kind of they shine a little bit.
yeah,
And something that obviously somebody like Rasmus could recognize, right?
yeah,
And so she's very sheepish, and she's like about to like hide under the table when she realizes someone's spotted her, someone's noticed
yeah,
her, and then hears this and is instantly like, what now? What,
yeah.
and all our attention is on this commotion.
Yeah, and you can tell that like there's someone who is a wizard who like has his stuff outside, and he's like dealing with getting his horses stabled, and he sent his apprentice in early, and she's like, irate that that her master isn't able to get
a room.
get a room, and she stomps out, and
Yeah,
Bazor looks straight up amused.
Yeah.
Does he know about your? I mean, I guess he does, right?
I think he does. And I think he. That's a really good question. Like, how has Nara presented this?
Right.
She.
So, for those that don't know, Rasmus the wizard had read a prophecy that the next Arch-Mage would be born in Karakage, in the hub of the wheel, which this continent kind of looks like, and then did a test where he like had some of the Arch-Mage's belongings and then just like a bunch of tchotchkes, and he like laid them out on a table, and which is a total ripoff of Tibetan things that are done to find people reborn, which I read about again in a novel of a novelization of an Avatar: The Last Airbender story. Anyway, I will find the I'll find the author I'm ripping off just so I can mention their name. Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Rise of Kyoshi by FCE. So all apologies to FCE, who I'm heartlessly ripping off. And yeah, and Nara picked all of the Arch-Mage's stuff. And so he's like, you know, she's the Arch-Mage. When Bazor heard that, he was like, I think you probably told him that story, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I said, yeah, a long time ago, you know, an old man a lot like you. And Rasmus wasn't an old man or isn't an old man, but
Right.
at the time Nara was 4. So
right.
yeah. So he's an old man a lot like you, okay,
Yeah.
and talked about wizards, and he and my parents had a great time, and then they said I need to go with the elves after that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think Rasmus like reaches your table through the crowd right as Bazor like is saying like prophecies are bullshit. Like he's doing his old like he's saying a speech you've heard before about like Arch-Magery is to be debated, and whoever told you that you were prophesied to do anything is you know, a fool. And then like he's chuckling about it and like digging into his stew and like, this is delicious. And then Rasmus like reaches the table and like I think he kind of like, may I join you?
And it's clear that like Nara was trying to get away from the table, not to get away from Rasmus, but to get away from Bazor so that she could go listen in on. She's like very curious about this Arch-Mage that's outside.
Yeah.
And so so she maybe pulling on a little kernel of her mother. She's like, oh yes, my I'm sure you're here to see my mentor, the esteemed Bazor, and she offers up her seat to Rasmus because she really wants to like sneak off and like she's trying to like politely or at least not rudely. Actually, let me think about this. Bina was very polite. Nara is not as polite, and I don't want to fall in that trap. Nara's like, yeah, you could sit here, and she doesn't have super great social graces in this regard, and basically her plan is to like beeline out. She like pulls up her hood and she's gonna go like try and sneak out and listen in on what the Arch-Mage outside is.
And I think like Bazor says, you know, you like you hear Bazor like know his name, and he says, have we met? And he says, yeah, my master was you know, was Gophidius, and we met when I was an apprentice. And he says, oh, I don't remember that. And he goes, yeah, you probably wouldn't. I was a bit of a wallflower then. And like they start chatting about old times.
Nice.
But yeah, you get out, you head out there. Are you looking to sneak up on them?
Yeah,
are you
I'm
looking
totally looking to sneak up on them?
Cool.
I'm very good at being sneaky, and I you know, like I've heard the Arch-Mage is here, and you know, I'm just like, I think Nara's a little gullible. She's like, really? Like they are? She is?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Make a stealth check. I mean, you're sneaking up on them.
Be stealthy.
And I think, you know, the failure is obvious. They see you coming.
Sure. I want to work in inconspicuous because I am trying to fit in around the crowd as well. You know, I'm there's a lot of people cover to use.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Sounds good.
All right. you're gonna laugh, cry when you see this roll.
It's like,
Well, I have the three. The Elven Cloak offers a 4d3 of chameleon, three of 4 die 3 of chameleon. So I have 6d stealth. I have a b6 stealth effectively.
oh my
It's
boy.
b2, but I get 4 helping dice for that. So
Got it.
it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. You're sneaky. That's cool.
I'm sneaky. Yeah, it's. And I'll just say base ob 1, but I'll be setting the ob from there.
Yeah, I'll set the ob by I'll roll there.
Okay. Yeah, if they have observation, they can roll that. Otherwise, it's.
Yeah, I've got their observation. So the ob is 2.
Ob is 2. Excellent. I do it. Yeah. I mean.
Cool. Yeah, and I think like you see that there is a group that has good horses. This wizard is traveling with a knight, which is a bit strange.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell from their saddles and from their clothes that they are from the like southwest quadrant, who are called like they're the Iron Dukes, the Gold Dukes. So the Iron Dukes are the northwest. The northeast are called the Gold Dukes, and they're kind of they tend to be the richest. And when someone rises up and claims to be king, they very often come from that quadrant of this continent.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the like southeast is an area that we really haven't touched on. That is called that are called the Weird Dukes, and they're not wizard dukes because that's not legal, but they tend to. A lot of wizards tend to come from there. And so this is clearly like a noble born, duke, or noble born someone from a ducal family who is not the firstborn child who is a wizard. And yeah, I think she's about your age, and she is or he. No, it's he. I think he is about your age, and he's got like he looks every bit like what you would think a wizard would look like. He's on this like glorious white and gray horse, and he's kind of like petting her nose, or petting his nose, and he's got a staff that's iron shod on either end, and robes that go over that match exactly what he's wearing, and yeah, he just looks like what people picture when they picture a wizard. He's got like his first beard coming in, and it's like nicely trimmed. And he says, "Well, we'll just put up our tents." She says, "I'm so sorry, Master." She says, he says, "Nothing to be done with it. We're in the home stretch. This is the last bit of it." And
it sounds like obviously they've been traveling a long way. I think the knight that trained, Tobar, the knight that trained Nara, was an Iron Duke, I think, or the Iron Duke. So I don't think she has any familiarity with the Weird Dukes.
Cool.
Per se. But it does look like they've traveled a really long way. And
yeah. So I think I want you to like overhear something good with that roll, right? So
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I think like he's traveling with a knight who has a squire, and the knight tells the squire like to take the saddles off the horses and rub them down, and they like go off. I think there are like little groves around the Jeweled Road Inn just for this type of thing. For like people to camp at when they're, there are like little campsites with little lean-tos that people can kind of sleep near. And it says like, do all of this and then go fetch, 3 pots of karakage stew, and a dark beer for me and water for you. And And the squire kind of rolls her eyes and like gets to work. And the apprentice gets, says like, what's going to happen when we reach Wheelholt, Master? He says, that's a good question. I will present my 3 chores to the council. And I think the knight like lights up a pipe,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the knight like questions the apprentice. He's like, and who appointed who appoints this council? And like he's like quizzing her.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is the apprentice the same as the squire? Or is there a single?
No,
Okay.
they're 2 different people. Yeah,
Got
just in case it could be more confusing.
No, I appreciate
yeah,
it.
I think the squire is like laboring, and the wizard's apprentice is like being quizzed, right? Is asking questions and is being quizzed. And so like the knight like lights his pipe, and I think you could feel when you were doing your stealth that like he was the one you had to avoid, right? Like his was the eye that was going to catch you.
Yeah.
But you just like blend into the rainy night, and he is no chance. And she says, the Prince of Wheelholt. And he goes, and who is that? And she says, Belot. And I think like they both look at her like, yes. She goes, Belot the second. And they say, very good. And she says, so I'll present my 3 chores to the council, and if they find them worthy, I will be able to attempt to carry the wheel down the mountain and be dubbed the Arch-Mage. And she says, can anyone else do it? And she says, no, just me. Just one Arch-Mage a generation. She says, what if someone else is able? Or what if I want to be an Arch-Mage? And he goes, I think you were just born in the wrong time. And he's kind of like smirking, like tough shit, right? And she nods. She's kind of taking all that in, and like arranging their books in a way in the lean-to so that they'll stay dry.
Right.
And she says, what if someone else wants to be an Arch-Mage also? He says, well, according to Rasmus, there is one who is already prophesied, but no one knows where she is. So I'm ready, and I've prepared, and here we are. And
yeah,
she says,
Nara's just taking all this in, like you can imagine if she had like a notepad that she'd be like taking notes, like she's like very
right.
She's like she's like listening in all this and trying to like, there's a couple times when they're like getting the tent ready or whatnot, where she's sort of tempted to like step out and be like, you could stay at the stables, but then like they keep talking and it's like too juicy and she doesn't doesn't want to interrupt. And also like, just for the audience, as another contrast between her and Bina, like this cloak is like elven clooks are just like warm when it's cold out and cold when it's warm, and cool when it's warm, and they wick away water. So she's very comfortable, like as in the wet and the cold and all that jazz.
And I think the apprentice says, so we'll stay in Wheelholt. And she says, he says, once we've gained the title Arch-Mage, we will be able to stay in Wheelholt. But for now, we are going to have to, until then, we will stay in a small town outside of the Holdfast that they've built exactly for this purpose. You've noticed the hubbub, you've noticed the pilgrims, other wizards. When the Arch-Mage, when the Lord of Fire makes it known that an Arch-Mage is to be chosen, they open this town, and wizards and hangers-on flock to it. And I think like the knight kind of like guffaws or coughs or something, and the wizard says, you don't approve of my people? And he says, there's a lot more hangers on than actual wizards. Let's just put it that way. And she says, how would you know? And he goes, well, 10 years ago, some other sod tried it. And I think like you see the wizard who wants to become an archmage get really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the knight like ends his pipe early and says, but it's not important. And he like taps it on his heel and says, I'm going to go make sure that squire of mine isn't gambling with some wizard's apprentices. And like he grabs his like shitty cloak compared to yours and like goes out into the rain and like literally walks right by you. Like it's like he thinks you're a rock, right? He just like goes right by you, not knowing who you are or that you're not a stone.
Right. And, I think the camera like pans over. I don't know that maybe the camera has looked at Nara yet. I think the camera pans over what looks just like a stone in the shadow, and then she sort of pulls the cloak over her hood, and we realize it was her. Right, like even this was Judd. Luke Judd made this amazing map. I mean, it's probably a bad idea, but I'm gonna go talk to this would-be archmage. As soon as the night sort of peels off. Nara comes and she sort of awkwardly stands. She pulls her hood down and like steps out, steps over, and like sort of awkwardly stands next to the wizard and his apprentice, and looks at the books and says, "You should probably be inside. You should probably not stay outside tonight. It's gonna rain." And Karakagi rains are nothing to ignore. Your pages of your books are gonna get all wet. You're gonna have wet socks. I bet your companion's horse would like cover as well. You could probably get a spot in the stables. Better than a tent.
My name is Kaji. This is my apprentice, Yisa. What is your name?
Hey, Kaji. Oh, that's great. She totally wanted to know his name, and was going to be like, "I'll get your name, and I'll get you a room. I'll get you a spot in the stables." But she was not ready to say her name because she's untrusting.
Does she lie?
Yeah, I think she's gonna lie. Which means I need to try falsehood, and which I don't have. But I'm trying to think of how she would lie. I think she says, my master tells me I shouldn't. Master tells me I haven't earned a name or title yet, and all the ones I have so far are silly. I'm just the fire tender, because that is the thing that she does. She tends the fires.
Yeah.
So it's totally, this is a lie. This is not what Phasor says.
But like I also feel
it's trying to be convincing, and that like, a young person would just be told like, you don't get a name, you just get a title until you earn it.
Yeah, I feel like that is the kind of emotional abuse a wizard would do. And I think like it might even be, can we say this? That's a thing Bezor's master did to him. Is like said, you don't get a name until you're a wizard. Shut the fuck up, apprentice.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bezor ever did that to you. But like, is it cool if like that's where you heard about that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think she's recalling Bezor's stories and basically going and like basically telling his story. I think she's telling the story that he told her.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's the fire tender, because she actually knows how to build a fire. And maybe even like if you know, if the squire was sent off to get things, I was like, you know, and you'll never be able to, unless your squire comes back in shortly and starts a fire now, you're never gonna get one started once the rains
Cool.
are. Yeah, that
Yeah.
retroactively, I'm gonna say that she said
Yeah.
that as part of. Yeah. So you want me to make a falsehood roll, which I'm
Yeah, I do.
totally
I
gonna
do. I'm
fail.
going to give you a bonus die because I think it's really believable.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I'm not going to make it all that. I feel like I want to say, if, yeah, I mean, so I'm going to put this out there, Sean. Tell me if this is too much. But
Mhm.
if you fail, he knows exactly who you are.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's totally perfect. You'll notice on my character sheet, I had three general skills that I could take, and I really wanted to take stealthy, and I really wanted to take aura reading, and I really wanted to take falsehood, and those are going to be the three I took. And then I was like, I have to take sing. I have to
Right.
take sing.
Right.
I've got to do it. So I have sing instead of falsehood because, yeah, because Nara had to learn it. So
Cool.
yeah, let's roll that falsehood. What is my
So it's the will of the higher person. I think it's 5.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. No help for advance. Oh, I get a bonus die because it's base ob is 5. It should double it, I think, automatically. Well, I got 2 successes.
Right.
On out of my 10 that I needed.
Right.
So that actually counts as a difficult will test because
Awesome.
it was higher than even if I had it trained. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's not a practiced liar. She doesn't say it. She says it awkwardly and slowly and falteringly, like she's remembering a story.
Yeah.
You know?
And he smirks and says, Nara Janos.
And she like she
like, which is a dick
bristles.
move, right? Like that's not even your name. Like he wrong named you, right? Like,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's my name. I mean, it's Narajan is my name. It's
Okay.
You know, Nara Songender is a you know, is a title, right? Like I'm a Janos. It's fine. It's not what I go by, but it's not like I've like given up my family name or anything. And but it still feels like a dick move to just like completely call her out. And she's like, she bristles, and she's like, no, I don't know who you're talking about. It's just all over her face.
Yeah.
She's like doubling down because she's doubling down because she doesn't know what else to do, and she's not a proficient liar, so she doesn't know how to recover.
Right.
And so she kind of fumbles and like spits. No, no.
Yeah. So
and kind of like falls into herself a little bit.
Yeah. I think he like he kind of sits back, right? This he's enjoying knowing something, and he says, how long were you listening?
Yeah, I feel like she sort of like looks around to see if the knight is coming back, because she's like learn to be afraid of people's swords. They can be scary. I mean, not that you shouldn't be afraid of wizards, but she's kind of like looks over her shoulder and she's like, long enough to hear that you have your 3 chores prepared. And she clearly says that without knowing what that means, right?
Yeah.
Like she says it, but it's clear that you have your chores ready, and that
you don't know what that means. You have no idea.
And she gets a little bit of like, she doesn't refute that because she doesn't know what to say. She's like, and that you think you're the only one.
I believe I am. Yes. Do you have your 3 chores ready?
When he says chores, she thinks like take Fennec out, like feed Fennec,
Right.
make
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
fire, set up camp,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what she thinks when he says chores. Like she
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
chores, sure.
Yeah. Pick berries for Fennec, or berries and bugs for Fennec. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Totally.
exactly.
Love it.
Um, and um, she's I have two different instincts, and I'd love your thought about this. One of
Yeah.
them is run away,
Yeah.
which I think is like could make sense, and the other one is try to show off by doing some magic and be like, yeah, I don't know what the hell that means, but like here you go. And
I mean, you've got arcane. So one of the things you can do with art magic
yeah,
is look up, kind of like tap into the awesome. Oh man, let's look at it. Let's look at it right now. Art magic. That there's one where you can like understand lore, right?
yes, arcane knowledge. I don't have it. I mean, it's not one of the ones that I know. It's not in my
Okay.
school.
What are your 3?
My 3 are illusion, advantage, and transform. So
Interesting. Okay.
I could turn into a creature.
You could turn into a creature. You could give yourself advantage on some kind of roll where you try to like outsmart him. Absolutely, you could just like turn into a fox. Yeah.
I'd like to use. So I think I'm gonna do it because I have obscure history, which I think might apply. And I would like to cast a spell. It's the first time it's ever happened. It's gonna happen by a PC. Let's see. Let's pull up the sheets. Everybody else can see what I'm doing. I would like to use the advantage ability. I'm kind of bummed that there's a lot of like cool named schools in art magic. Like, oops, not Bina. Nara. I'm gonna keep opening Bina. I do it even when I was playing Polara. I would do it. I'm like, wait, wrong character. There's schools of magic like destroy with sorcerer's fire, and then there's schools of magic called advantage. But that's fine. I would like to make an incantation. You gain a bonus die if you name them, and I would like to name this one. I had prepared a few names just in case.
Of course.
Wisdom of the Whispering Winds.
Okay.
And I would like to have a wind that carries all the way from Rasmus and Bezor talking in the end, that carries their voice all the way to me and overhear something to help me with my obscure history as they're talking about what was going on. Does that sound cool?
Yeah. So so this is an advantage roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast a spell to use advantage, and I want it to give me bonus dice on an obscure history roll. It's kind of, if I understand the way this works, it means I'm going to be doing a lot of rolling twice for things, which if we decide is really unfun, I could switch out and make it be,
Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
I want to try it. So,
cool. So blah blah blah. Advantage can manifest as a favorable win. Let's see what you roll.
Yeah. All right. So what is the page again? You just
280.
280
on the codex.
280.
Flipping pages.
I have to see what. So I'm gonna get a bonus die for naming it. I think I'm gonna bonus die. I want to fork in aura reading because I was doing it earlier, and I'm going to do it again as long as you can see your target. Okay. Well, no, I can't see my target actually in this case.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I won't. Makes me sad, but yeah, we'll just roll sorcery. So I'm gonna go. What's my sorcery? I think it's B4.
4. It's 4. I just looked at it.
Okay.
I think roll it. Do that shit. Let's see how many advantage dice you get, if any. I think it's like instant, right? So we're just looking at ob 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah. All right. I hit my 2.
All right, so you get a bonus die. Yeah, you hear them talking about like what is it you want to overhear?
I want to hear what chores are, and you know, right? And I feel like, like what I feel like I'm remembering back to the 3 little tokens that I picked ages ago that represented the last Arch-Mage.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try and remember like trying to remember what Bezos has said about what that meant and see if that's sort of tied to the chores. But my hope is that I hear, them talking uh,
Cool.
about me, probably.
Yeah. So you definitely do, right? You get your die. You hear.
Oh, hold on a second. I forgot. I got a bonus die to that roll because I named it.
Yeah.
I didn't add in the the 1d6 for that.
Do it.
There we go. 3 successes.
Cool. So now you get your advantage. Now let's roll obscure history and see what you get. I think the ob is like, I think it's 1. Like I don't think it's that bad of a roll. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Does forking sorcery into it make sense?
I think,
or I'm not sure.
I feel like you're double dipping at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. Because I used for sorcery to get it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will not do that again. I was thinking it in terms like sorcerer's knowledge you'd have, but yeah.
This is obscure history about sorcery, so like, it wasn't a terrible call, but I'm gonna say no, and maybe I'm wrong. Let's just do it that way.
So I'm gonna roll with 2 bonus dice because I got and help 2 of 1.
Yeah.
I needed that help. Look at that. 2, 1, 5, 2.
Wow, that's a lot of traders, but you got it.
That bonus die was what did it.
Yeah, you hear Rasmus say, is she prepared? And he says, for what? And he says, can she enchant an item worthy of the title and gift it appropriately? And you hear Bazor say, nope. Can she summon and obtain a service from one of the great spirits? Ha! Nope. Can she create a spell for the school? And Bazor says, Bazor like wants to say nope again because like he's just enjoying it. But he says, oh, she might be able to do that. She's got one where she takes words off the wind to understand history better. It's actually pretty fucking clever, really. And he says, what have you been doing? And he says, I've been letting her enjoy being a fucking wizard. Asshole. And like you hear Rasmus sputter and then like, yeah, that's your advantage. But like, yeah, you get those 3 chores, right? Enchant an item and gift it appropriately, summon one of the great spirits, and obtain a deed from them, and then create a spell for your school.
Nice.
And like weave it into the fiber of your being and share it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I love it. And so I think she's gonna like, she's playing from her strengths and which are few and far between, but she says, well, I don't know if you just noticed my incantation, which by the time we reach Wheelholt, I will surely have woven to the fiber of my being. I will surely be able to present the knowledge of the sages. And she says, and we'll just see if a spirit wants to talk. And she's really just like trying to play tough at this point. She's like, we'll see if a spirit wants to talk and if a trinket wants to shine for me. And she just is, she's totally out of her leagues, but she's trying to like keep a stiff up. She's trying to like not back down.
Yeah. I think he like looks concerned that number one, you just like cast a spell right in front of him, because like I think that's kind of a big deal. And I don't think it was like maybe you noticed. I think it was like you know, the wind kind of blew into the lean-to, and it wasn't. I don't think it was super subtle.
I don't think it was super subtle either.
And I think he looks kind of concerned, but you're also like so laughably immature, right? Like it's just, he says, good luck to you then.
Which is kind of the like worst thing you could say in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like to basically embarrass her this much. I mean, he didn't embarrass her; she embarrassed herself. But like from her perspective, like to embarrass her this much and then to play the nice guy card at the end.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really being a nice guy.
He's totally playing. He's trying to.
Yes, totally.
He's a '90s nice guy, and
he's a dick.
And she's like, yeah, good luck to you too.
If this was like a Monster Hearts game, like Nara would have dated this asshole in junior high, right? Like it would have been that kind of thing.
Curse
Source versus fire. Yeah.
As you can see, that is the thing I am the worst at, Luke.
Yes. Love it. Yeah. So he says, good luck. Do you have a room?
She pokes at the edge of the lean-to, like the fabric of lean-to. She's like, I've got something warmer than this. Yeah.
Good luck to you then. I think like the knight and the squire both come back with like their stew. And I think the squire looks really concerned, and she says, I didn't know we had a guest. And he says, it's all right.
Oh, I was just leaving.
Yeah, I think you both at the same time, like you say I was just leaving as she says I was just leaving, right?
Yeah.
Which we can't do because Zoom sucks. But yes,
yeah,
that clearly happens. Yeah,
definitely. Thank you, Andy. Nice guy. Stab.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you get back and you can tell that like Erasmus and Bizor are having, you know, a tense conversation.
Yeah. And she sort of just like stands there looking like, she kind of stands there looking like, what am I supposed to do? Because she's used to it just being her and Bezor, and like having another, it's way too many wizards happening right now. Like this is, she's went from knowing one to knowing three in the span of like as many minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, because she's overheard what they were saying, and like and as she left, she heard them talking about, my master was, and all that. So so she kind of just stands there looking awkward, like not sure when to butt in the conversation, and then just kind of cuts one of them off. It was like, there's another wizard here. He's outside. He thinks he's the Arch-Mage. And kind of like looks at Bezor to be like, was that the right thing to say? Because she just didn't know what to say. So she finally like just spits it out. And
Bezor like is sopping up the last of his Karakage stew with some dark bread, and he says she can have it, or he says, you know, the wizard can have it. Good. And Erasmus says, yes, I know him. Kaji.
And I think like normally in normal conversations, people are pretty good. Like most people are pretty good at like looking at the person who's talking and then like looking to the other person who's talking and kind of like giving everybody sort of like regular amounts of attention. And Nara is like staring at Bezor until after he stopped talking, and when Rasmus has started talking, and then she like completely about faces and turns to him. It's like there's not like a lot of subtlety in the way. She's just like, oh, I'm Nara. I don't know if we've met. And she puts out her hand. Because I don't think she connects that this was I don't think she's put it together. Like even though she's heard them talking, I don't think she.
Yeah, he says, I knew your mother. Whoa.
Oh,
Something just fell off the ceiling?
no, my book.
Uh-huh.
It's okay. My this is my bookend,
Yeah.
and the books just pushed it enough that it then slid off the shelf and fell down. But
Yeah.
it's
And
fun.
and and fate fell off.
And yes, yeah,
Right as we were talking about Bina. I think this is weird.
yeah, yeah. It's fine.
This is weird wizard game shit here.
Yeah, it's okay. Nothing broke. I'll fix it. I love you. That was just Karen checking it. Yes, someone hindered me. Indeed, someone sent a gust of wind of their own, Luke. Yeah, that was weird
Love
wizard
it.
stuff there.
I'm glad you didn't get hit in the head with a brass goose. That's good.
I am glad. I am glad as well. It's at the other end is a big unicorn which has a big spiky horn.
Yeah, it's no good either.
That would have been even worse.
He
Sorry,
says,
I got distracted.
Yeah, no, of course you got brained. Let's finish this up and then we'll take our first break because we've been at this for an hour and 20.
Sure.
Yeah, Rasmus says, I knew your mother back when she was traveling.
Oh.
And I met you when you were tiny.
Yeah, so Nara has like two weird moments and two cool things happen because they can only happen in the two cool things that could only happen at the same time the jewel rode in. And I think this is the perfect break. Nara sort of unconsciously like reaches into her cloak, and we see from the camera angle, we see the worn, gnarled edges of the wheel the Deke made her.
Oh shit.
And that she and the tattered ribbons that are still hanging off it. And as she like touches it, the firelight glints off the wood. That's the firelight glints off the wood over the mantle of the Jewel Road Inn that has the symbol Elf Friend in it. Which Mina recognized because it was the same one on the wheel.
Yeah. Yep. And I cannot effing believe he remembered that. You beat me to it, but no, don't be sorry. I am floored that you remembered this like tiny detail. Yeah, I'm nothing but absolutely flattered and flabbergasted that you remembered that. If like there was fan mail, I'd be giving you fan mail. That's great. Yeah, I love
it. Yeah, so I think we see like the twin golden glints of the firelight off of the wheel and the mantle. And Nara's eyes like shine as though she was all reading. She's not she's just like shine and recognition and surprise. And let's
cool. I think like before Rasmus leave, I think Rasmus does get up to leave to like let you eat, because I think like your stew is there, with like a little top on it so it stays warm.
Oh, nice.
And they've thought about this, and it turns out spiders don't steal little stew pots when they like eat everyone in an inn. It's just something they don't do.
Things that get left behind.
And Rasmus says, I have a tower. I'm on the council, and I have a tower in Shadowholt. I've invited you and your master Bazor to come stay with us. To come stay with me. You're welcome if you need a roof. Both of you. Bazor, I'm fascinated by your research and would love to know more about the people you're studying. And Nara, I feel like I've known you and I've been waiting for you for a long time, and would like to see you at this stage of your wizarding journey. So you're welcome to stay with me. No strings. And I think when he says no strings, like Bazor snorts in like derision, like there's always strings,
right?
And and Rasmus kind of shoots him a dirty look. He just shrugs, and I think we can end there. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. I love it. So good. Awesome. I did not know what kind of character Nara was at the beginning of this game. I was like, I don't know. She's like kind of tough and like kind of like untrusting because she's had a slightly harder life, and I want to play a person who's a little bit more street savvy than Bina was, but like now I totally figured out Nara. She's a very awkward kid who is untrusting but is not street savvy, right? She knows enough not to trust people, but doesn't know how to play the games yet. I love it. This is great. This is wonderful.
Cool.
Okay, I'm excited to see what Shadowhold and what happens next. We'll be back in a few minutes, friends. I'm gonna go make some tea and get out of this chair for a second and put my bookshelf back together. See you all in a sec.